Slap. That's the Nothing Personal Word of the Day for Monday, November 3rd, 2025. Slap. As in Will Smith slapped an 11th inning home run as the Dodgers went on to hold them in the bottom of the 11th and win back-to-back World Series in an epic Game 7 that happened Saturday night. Could not convince anyone, including myself, to sit down yesterday and do a full show with you because I've been bursting at the seams to talk about this World Series. So often the World Series is a dud. You get excited for it. You get some moments. Not this year. This year, other than the fact that we called it before the series started, Dodgers over Blue Jays in 7. Not taking a victory lap for that. Explain to you that to win in 7 games, you're going to lose 3, and you're going to feel like you're right at the edge of losing. You're going to have to read things about your own team that says we're not good enough. We don't have the right bullpen. Our starters are tired. No production out of the bottom. Stop playing Pajes. Call the one call guy who we brought in during the deadline. Still not good enough. Here's an idea. Let's play Miguel Rojas. That won't matter. He's not good enough. He's a glue guy. Glue guys aren't meant to play. Glue guys are there on the bench. Glue guys are there in the clubhouse. Information coming out left and right after Game 6. No break before a Game 7 Friday night. Game 6, Dodgers win. We'll talk about it, but it means you're getting a Game 7. So what happens? You do a quick meeting, very quick, with your baseball people, and you let it be known. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to start with Scherzer. Every single starting pitcher is available, including Gausman. We are going to close with Hoffman. Your pitching plan for Game 7 is set. The Blue Jays had an easy time doing it. On the Dodgers side, much more complicated. Tyler Glasnow should have been the starter in Game 7. He pitched the last 3 pitches and closed Game 6. So the thought was, well, can he still start Game 7 one day later? The answer is that he could have, but for a little-known rule in Major League Baseball, not properly discussed anywhere that I could find. Certainly could be for lack of looking. The Ohtani rule is a rule that states, and it's literally called the Ohtani rule, colloquially. It's referred to as the two-way designation rule. Throughout the course of the season, there are a certain number of pitchers you are allowed to have on your active roster, certain amount of position players. Shohei Ohtani does not count as a pitcher. Therefore, if you're allowed 13 pitchers on your roster, Ohtani becomes your 14th pitcher. And this is not a slop number 7 starter long guy. This is one of your starters, does not have to count. However, part of that rule also says that if Ohtani comes into the game having been the DH to start, then goes into the game as a bullpen arm, when he's pulled out of the game, he would have to go to the field to play in order to keep his bat in the lineup. But the pitcher who replaces him out of the bullpen would have to hit for himself because you would lose your DH. Old National League teams know what this is about. Old American League teams don't remember. There used to be no DH in the National League, so pitchers would be in the lineup. And when you take a pitcher out, you replace that pitcher with a pinch hitter. And that's when double switches happen. That's when you are managing the game and figuring out which player is going to go where in the lineup and where in the field. When the DH was adopted, not just for the American League, but for the National League also, it made that part of managing and double switches and all of that go away. And then Ohtani happened. The Dodgers would have had to do a double switch with Ohtani if they had not started him in Game 7, because they would want to have kept his bat in the game. So A, he would have had to have played in the field, because once he's in the game as a bullpen arm, the DH has disappeared. When you pull a bullpen pitcher off the mound, you don't have to take him out of the game. You can move him and he can play in the field somewhere else if you want that pitcher to keep hitting. Option 1. The Dodgers didn't like any of those options. They knew the rules. They had to be reminded of the rules before Game 7. They were reminded of the rules, and they realized, wait a minute, we don't need to be TBD for our starting pitcher for Game 7. It has to be Ohtani. Ohtani doesn't pitch on short rest. He had just started Game 4. There had only been 3 days of rest until Game 7. Ohtani had pitched on short rest one time, and it didn't work very well. You may recall during the season, more often than not, if not always, Ohtani pitches on extra rest, like a once-a-week type of thing. Try to protect the double Tommy John. When the Dodgers were doing their pitching plan for Game 7, they knew that they had to start Ohtani. They knew he was going to lead off and he was going to be able to be the DH the rest of the game, even if he didn't pitch a complete game, which he was never going to do. The hope was to have Ohtani see if he could get to 75 to 90 pitches. And if he could do it in a way that showed that his command intact on short rest, velocity intact on short rest, breaking stuff intact on short rest. And in this case, meatloaf doesn't carry the day. If you have 2 out of 3, it's not that it ain't bad. It's bad enough that you're not going to make it. Ohtani's command was off. His breaking stuff was off. His velocity was fine. In the 3rd inning, he gives up a 3-run homer to Bo Bichette. The Rogers center's losing their mind. They're about to win the World Series. It's the 3rd inning. It's early. It's hard to believe what's going to happen for the rest of Game 7. We'll talk about it. But Ohtani is taken out in the 3rd inning. That forces the Dodgers to go into their plan of Ohtani not giving them innings, and there they go. What did they do? They go right into Glasnow, who was supposed to be the starter and didn't. They bring in another starter, Webrensky. They bring in another starter, Blake Snell. And they end the game not with Roki Sasaki, not with Blake Trinan, because Coca was finally able to get through to Andrew Friedman and make sure that Blake Trinan would never pitch again. Webrensky, Glasnow. I got the order wrong, but thank you. They both pitched. Then Yamamoto. For those of you who were surprised to see Yamamoto pitch at the end of Game 7, you may not have been alive, so let me calculate 24 years ago. Hey, there's a solid 25% of you who have no idea what Randy Johnson did in 2001 when he was with the Diamondbacks and they were winning Game 7 on a walk-off by Luis Gonzalez over Mariano Rivera blowing the save and the New York Yankees, who were going for their 4th straight World Series. May not remember that Randy Johnson started Game 6 and then came in relief in Game 7. But if you do remember that, you sure as heck fire don't remember a guy pitching Game 6 after a complete game in Game 2, might I add. 96 pitches, 6 innings in Game 6, no days off. It's not 3 days rest Yamamoto came in. It's not 2 days rest. It's not 1 day rest. Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitched in Game 7 on 0 days rest, and they didn't bring him in to face a batter. Yamamoto got the most outs of any of the Dodgers pitchers on Saturday night. Yamamoto came in and pitched the final 2+ innings to earn the win in Game 7. Obviously, the unanimous MVP choice for the World Series. It is impossible for me to properly. No, it's not. It's my job. Let me try. When you know that you've got a pitcher who doesn't need protection, it is such a warm and fuzzy feeling to a front office. The Blue Jays example is their pitcher Varland. You know you can throw him out every day. We had guys like that in our World Series run. You could throw Chad Fox out there every game. The view and the feeling of knowing that that guy's available, even if he goes 46 pitches, that he needs 0 days rest. We call them rubber arms. Starting pitchers just don't have rubber arms because they have built up their arm totally differently. Rubber arm pitchers, you can call the bullpen. They can be ready to go in 7 tosses, bring them in the game. Sometimes in the bullpen, they can do name that tune. I can be ready in 6 tosses. No. Tell the manager I can be ready in 5 tosses. Those are the people you know that can cover up your mistakes when you don't go to the bullpen fast enough, when an inning gets away from you too quickly, and it happens. When we're second guessing everyone, how did you not have anyone up? Meanwhile, if you're managing the game, you can't believe that this would unravel that quickly. Rubber arm people matter. Starters don't have it. Definitionally, through training, through basic etiquette of how to deal with a starting pitcher in year 2 of a 12-year deal. But we had an inkling. If you're a detective and you were watching the 18-inning game and you read about Yamamoto being willing to go and pitch in that 18-inning game right after he had pitched Game 2. He had 1 day of rest in that case, but he was ready to go, wasn't used as Freddie Freeman walked it off in the 18th inning. That's got to be in your head as a data point if you're Andrew Friedman or Dave Roberts of the Dodgers. You pull him after 96 pitches in Game 6 because of your data point. You know that there's a possibility Yamamoto is going to be available in a Game 7 and that you are going to need him. After Game 6 is not when you talk to Yamamoto, because you can't speak to a starting pitcher the day he starts and ask how he's going to feel when they wake up. My thing as team president, non-baseball guy, why let a guy go to sleep? We know we've got 1 game left. We always worry about how will the player wake up? How will the pitcher wake up? What will be the level of soreness? I always thought to myself, and I would have done it with Josh Beckett in Game 6, the complete game, if we had not won Game 6 and we had to play Game 7 in 03 Yankee Stadium. My thought was, keep Beckett up all night. He does it anyway. Therefore, he won't have time to get tired or sore. Remember, you only get hungover if you stop drinking. You only get tired on your legs if you stop running. Keep going. But, of course, Yamamoto goes to bed. First thing on Saturday morning that has to happen is Yamamoto checks in with his interpreter, who checks in with the trainer, who checks in with Andrew Friedman and Dave Roberts immediately. Remember, those games were in Toronto, Game 7 Saturday night. It's an 8:10 p.m. start, first pitch. But they needed information no later than 10 a.m. Roughly 10 hours before game time is when you are finalizing everything you're doing. When Yamamoto picks up the phone and says, I can go today, the Dodgers went to work. The Dodgers planned out exactly what they were going to do, using every one of their starters from the entire World Series as part of the bullpen in Game 7. It was simply a masterclass that Mark Pryor, pitching coach, Dave Roberts, manager, Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, GM, that they put together in getting through that Toronto lineup for 27 outs. A couple of things that happened in Game 7 that my mouth dropped, Coca. I simply was shocked by it all. Number one, I would never have expected, nor would I want, nor would baseball want, there to be any sort of kerfuffle in a Game 7. Why Andres Gimenez overreacted to Robleski hitting him, causing the benches to clear, and poor Clayton Kershaw to have to jog in the way I look, mile 20 of a marathon, all the way in from the bullpen. Contrary to what you think, Major League Baseball doesn't like that. Gimenez made some sort of gesture. Robleski wasn't happy with it. No punches thrown. Everyone separated. Simply a waste. That's something you don't see. Something else that you don't see that happens. You don't see me watching a game in the 9th inning and telling those I'm with, that's my guy, Miggy Rojas. I don't think that he should be hitting here. If you are a team, you've got to have someone on the bench who has an ability to maybe, that's what you're hoping for. You're going to have to ambush. You're going to have to try to get one out. You're 2 outs away from losing the World Series. You got Ohtani with the ability to hit at the top of the lineup. Getting someone on base would simply be amazing. But you're looking for the snipe home run. Having Miggy Rojas as that person, and I've known Miggy for a decade. Miggy, one of the most important players on our team when we were trying to patch it all together after Jose Fernandez died. Miggy Rojas is exactly what everyone in the league knows he is, except for Jazz Chisholm. Miggy Rojas is the glue of a clubhouse. Miggy Rojas is the ambassador. Miggy Rojas is the player. It's who you want on your team. He's Udonis Haslem for those who are Heat fans. He's someone who you keep past their prime, past their even functional utility. You keep them around because they're not going to embarrass you, but you cannot expect World Series level performance. It's why he really hadn't played. Dave Roberts and Andrew Friedman get together and say, you know what? We got Pajes not hitting. We got Call, who's really no better. I think really we would be well served to have Edman play in center field and move Rojas into second base. Let's give him a start. Let's try. Miggy Rojas rewarded them by coming to the plate in the 9th inning, down a run, as Toronto was 2 defensive outs away from being world champions for the first time since 1993. Here comes the pitch. It can't be. Jeff Hoffman's the closer extraordinaire. He's the actual closer who is going to close the World Series, something we don't see very often. Jeff Hoffman delivers the pitch, not thinking he's got to be perfect because you got Miggy Rojas here. Miggy Rojas takes it, spin, turns it around. Jeff Hoffman looks. Miggy Rojas looks. The entire broadcast team looks, and actually Joe Davis, who follows the Dodgers all year long, said, quote, no way. That's while the ball was in flight. He certainly was not just meaning no way that someone hit a game-tied home run in the 9th, though that would be potentially no way worthy, but not in this tone. The no way we got was no way. What you got in the Blue Jays dugout was NFW. What you got in the Dodgers dugout was Dave Roberts putting his hand to his head like, oh my God, it can't be that we're this smart. It can't be that we had no one to pinch hit for Miguel Rojas, and it was agreed that he would take his at-bats all game long, including against Hoffman, and then he goes deep to tie the game. It can't be. But it was. And all of a sudden, Game 7 is tied in the 9th inning. The thing is, when you're on the road, tie, not good. Because the home team, the Blue Jays team, only needs to scratch out one run in the bottom of the ninth to win the game. That's it. The Blue Jays come up in the bottom of the ninth. The tension, you can cut it with a knife. The inning looks like it's going perfectly. Bichette gets on, pinch run. You got to pinch run. We know the guy can't run. Bichette's been hurt. Bichette gave you a 3-run home run to take the lead. You watch Bichette not able to really run the bases. Bichette should not have been playing. All of a sudden, you got a man on third, man on second, man on first. Wait a minute, Yamamoto's giving up the bases loaded? We're 1 run away right now. We have a chance right now to win the World Series. We have under 2 outs. What should be our plan exactly? What shall we do? I want to stop the controversy because it's been driving me crazy. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who was thrown out at home for the out in the 9th inning that cost the Blue Jays the World Series, did not have the proper secondary lead. IKF did not get the proper jump in a bases loaded situation with the ball on the ground. IKF was not told to take 2 steps closer to third base than you would normally take because of a double play that happened in Game 6, which we haven't even spoken about. What the third base coach does there, it is a very simple situation in most cases. Regular season game number 111, you are taught, starting in spring training, your secondary lead at third is directly correlated to where the third baseman is playing. You have got to be able to dive back to the bag faster than a line drive can get to third base, and the third baseman can step on the bag. You can't be doubled off. A line drive to first, line drive to second, line drive to short, you're covered, you're back either way. A line drive to third is where the protection is. And so you calculate, and the third base coach helps you. That's their job. All right, you got another step, back one, step, back one. Because often the third baseman, he'll be jumping around, he'll be deking you, pretending he's coming to cover you, but you know very well where they are going to play Max Muncy because you know that Varsho is at the plate. And you know that Varsho going the other way would be the equivalent of me going the other way. It could happen. It never has before. The odds are slim. I don't know. A bottle of JD, decisions can get made. But the good odds are that he's going to pull the ball. Therefore, a line drive to Max Muncy, unlikely. On top of that, the secondary lead that he had was not even as far as it could be. The next thing the third baseman does, hey, anything on the ground, run. The bases are loaded. That's from Little League. When it's on the ground, you run like you've never run before. I'm not going to sit here and blame the World Series on IKF. And nor do I think Torontonians should, nor do I think there should be death threats or any kind of BS that I've heard is happening. But let's not try to cover up what happened with an explanation that makes all of us think that we're stupid, that we're being told by people, oh no, he did it exactly right. I understand why you want to protect IKF. I understand why you want to protect your third base coach, but you can bet your socks off that I'm making it known as president of the Blue Jays, this is what happened. This was a mistake. Whether I do it off the record, whether I do it with a leak, whether I do it in a direct conversation when I'm ready to meet the media, which the Blue Jays will be ready to meet the media as their offseason begins because they have a busy offseason, you've got to wear that. Of course, we don't even get to the part where right after that play, Ernie Clement's going to end the World Series. Hits a ball in a gap. Edman is removed from the game, not playing center field. They put in Pages, who has the same batting average that I do in the World Series. The guy can't hit, but man, is he tall, man, can he field. Ernie Clement, who is the MVP of that World Series, if they win. People are saying it could be Barger, it could be Guerrero. Ernie Clement was a hitting machine. Ernie Clement broke the record. You've never seen a player in the history of the postseason in MLB get more hits than Ernie Clement. Reggie Jackson, notwithstanding, complaining because they played so many fewer games than today's players. I get it. Yes. Randy Arozarena having the record for most hits. True. He played in a bunch of games. Guess what? Clement played in fewer and got more hits. But I digress. There are a lot of old school players who are like, there weren't this many rounds. We couldn't get this many home runs. Because now all the stats are the most home runs in a postseason, the most home runs in franchise history. Yes, the more games you play in the postseason, the better. Can't deny that math, Reg. Ernie Clement having just, he's going to hit the ball, and he hits a gapper, and all of a sudden, Andy Paz, the ball is not really in the gap. It's just over the left fielder's head. It's over Kike Hernandez's head. Kike Hernandez is going back thinking that he can be Willie Mays. Spoiler alert, there's only one Willie Mays. Spoiler alert 2. When you are the executive or the manager and you're sitting by the dugout and you see the last name of your outfielder, something bad is happening. A ball's going over the fence, a ball's hitting the wall, a ball got between the legs or got past the outfielder on a ground ball or a line drive. When you see the name on the back of the uniform, something bad is happening. You're watching that game live and you're thinking the Blue Jays just won the World Series. The win probability when that ball's in the air for the Blue Jays has to be 99.99%, which it had been several other times during the course of the night, for crying out loud. Hernandez goes back. He's reaching out, and out of nowhere, did you realize how much taller Andy Pages was, the center fielder, the guy who can't hit, than Kike Hernandez? I'll tell you one thing. When I was looking around and I'm seeing some guy come in, the first thing I thought, oh my God, is there a fan on the field? Is there a fan about to interfere and they're going to give Kike Hernandez the actual catch because a fan is going to interfere? Is it possible that there is a Blue Jays fan that stupid who would think that would benefit his team? And I look again, and as it comes further into focus, it's a player. Andy Pages somehow finds a way, runs over his own player and catches the ball. That's the play of the World Series. Not, I repeat, although that was a big play, but not Isaiah Kiner Falefa getting thrown out at home, though that was pretty stinky. The Pages catch, unbelievable. So listen, that's still only game 7. Before I get to a few things about the World Series, a few general comments, I would like to point out 3 things for you to think about. 1, how cool is it, no matter your love or hatred for the Dodgers, how cool is it that Clayton Kershaw is retiring as a 3-time champion? How cool is it that Clayton Kershaw got to win these World Series with the Dodgers, leaves his entire career with 3 rings? I think it's just amazing. 2, how cool is it that a guy named Will Smith is going to get a ring again? I was at a dinner last night where someone said, I can't believe that Will Smith has 6 rings. I saw it during the program. How does that guy have that many rings? Who did he play for other than the Dodgers? Okay, quick mistake, quick explanation, folks. Will Smith is 2 different players. Will Smith, the catcher for the Dodgers, has 3 rings. Will Smith, the pitcher for the Rangers and the Astros, has 3 rings. They just happen to all be in a row. So since 2020, a Will Smith has won a ring every year. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Will Smith, the catcher, in 20, 24, and 25. and then Will Smith, the pitcher, in 21, 22, 23. Look it up. It's a cool stat. Kids, change your name to Will Smith. You may win a World Series. Although Robert Ory's not a bad name to change yourself to. Will Smith was at the center of that Game 7 because there we were in the 11th inning. Will Smith goes deep. You know, that's what was supposed to happen in Game 3 before the 18th inning. That's the argument against the ghost runner, although my point was put the ghost runner in starting in the 12th inning, let him play normal 10th and 11th. Will Smith going deep and doing what he did in that way on the road, I must say that it is it's a compliment to a catcher. And I've been lucky enough to play with some really good catchers and have some really bad catchers, but some Hall of Famers, Pudge Rodriguez, etc. Just some brilliant catchers. It's so hard to catch. And what not enough people are talking about is Will Smith caught every inning of all 7 games, including all 18 innings of Game 3. The guy caught 73 innings at the end of a season. You talk about the 2 types of players who are hurting the most at the end of a season, where you started in February and where the Dodgers opened to Japan and closed in Canada. You're looking at your arms and you're looking at your catcher. It's why you try to give your catcher breaks during the season. It's why you try to find a way during the postseason if possible, but there never is. When you've got a catcher like Will Smith, you play him and then you play him, and he hits the game-winning home run. What a just compliment about what he did. Do you remember who has the ball? Do you remember where the ball ended up at the end of Game 7? You got to pay attention to these things because that person has property. That's that player's ball. That's disgusting collective bargaining, strangely enough, because do you know that what a team wants is they want to get the ball that's the final ball that gives a World Series to the team, and you want to use it, you ought to have it in your archive. I had the discussion with Josh Beckett because he got the ball. I really wanted to get that ball that he tagged Posada with, and Beckett said, I'm keeping the ball. And that is his right to do. He still has the ball in that glove. Because he knew that we wanted it, he ended up giving me his other game glove, Coca, and one of the game balls from Game 6 and put the game ball in his other gamer glove and gave me both that I have somewhere in storage. And last night or Saturday night, when Freddie Freeman gets the ball, because first baseman, here's the common people who end a World Series. Either it can be a strikeout, which is the catcher has it, and the catcher code is the catcher will give it to the pitcher who closed the game, saved the game. Or you get a fly out, in which case an outfielder has the ball, and the outfielder will keep it in the pocket, sometimes keep it, sometimes give it to the pitcher. Very commonly, you'll get a ground ball, and then the first baseman gets the ball. Freddie Freeman has the ball. You're taught 2 things as a first baseman. 1, put the ball quickly in your pocket. Don't lose it. So Freddie Freeman takes the ball. You can put it in your pocket, make sure you have it. Or you can move the ball on to a pre-designated part of the traveling party, often an assistant trainer, where you take the ball and that trainer has been taught, or that clubby has been taught, got a job. If we win, go get the ball. Little things like that interest me because Freddie finishes a double play that Mookie Betts did. It was a 6-3 double play to end the game, when the Blue Jays could have won in the bottom of the 11th, by the way, but got a double play to end the game, and the Dodgers are celebrating, and then it all started. All of it. The talk. It didn't take 5 minutes for people to test the theory. Is it true that the Dodgers have ruined baseball? Was Dave Roberts right after they won the pennant over the Brewers in a sweep in what seems like a year ago with dominant starting pitching? Is it true that that's it? Well, there are numbers that would indicate to you that baseball is far from ruined. There is interest in demographics that would indicate to you that baseball is far from ruined. There is international attention to baseball in a way that would make the other leagues, even the NFL, jealous, that would indicate that baseball isn't ruined. When you hear the numbers announced today for Game 7, that is only one part of how you know baseball is not ruined. When you hear the combined audience between US, Canada, and Japan setting records, when you hear about the interest in a Game 7, obviously why MLB and the union always root for a Game 7. Just you wait, players, until you get your player share. Maximum number of games in the World Series. I hope that you're excited, Andy Pajes, as a matter of fact, because your World Series share is going to knock your socks off. There are a bunch of clubhouse attendants who are going to be so happy, they're going to be whistling Dixie out of the tuchus. You're going to see it. The benefits of that Game 7, endless. It's why you won a Game 7, and they got it, and they got a competitive one. They got a extra inning one. Do you remember the last extra inning, Game 7? There haven't been many. As a matter of fact, they had one in 91, Jack Morris. They had one in 2016, Cubs fans. You remember that. Then you got to go back to 1960. That's it. There have been 3. Now we have 4. Extra innings, Game 7. What now? You announce ratings. Then you start with the announcements during the course of the season about all the interest that baseball has. So, for example, the next announcements that come out, new broadcast deals for the next 3 years. They've been rumored with Netflix. They've been rumored with NBC. They've been rumored that there's a package somewhere out there for Disney and ESPN. You ride this momentum to those types of announcements. Positive announcements about off-season sales. Ticket sales, corporate sales, not just the Dodgers, not just the Blue Jays. You have industry-wide announcements that are showing you the health of the game. A absolute planned PR attack to build on the Game 7 victory by the Dodgers, to build on the World Series that will go down as one of the best ever. You have to back it up with these type of announcements that will make people realize that, oh, it's okay for me to say what a great World Series it was, but it's also okay for me to say, hey, that wasn't just one-off. Look at baseball. It's healthy. It's good. What would interrupt it? Not the Dodgers figuring out what they're going to do with their free agents. Not the Blue Jays figuring out what they're going to do with their free agents. Whether Bo Bichette comes back or not, that will not take away from the growth of baseball in Canada, in Toronto, the quality of that team. You are the head of that team, Mark Shapiro. You can't overpay for Bo Bichette. You can't just say, hey, run it back, we're fine. The Blue Jays, as it was, had the number 5 payroll. If you're the Dodgers, you can't say, hey, please, we're good. Run it back. Go for the 3rd in a row the way the Yankees did. You know there's going to be changes on that team, as there should be. But the changes that will be made by the Blue Jays and the Dodgers will not change the narrative that baseball is going to promote this coming offseason. What could stop it? Oh, you know what's lurking there. You know it, like when you're in a relationship that's not good and you're having make-up sex and you're thinking this is amazing, and then you stop and you realize, well, wait a minute, we're still fighting. All of this exciting postseason. The undercurrent of labor is real. While there is one more season to be played in 2026 before this collective bargaining agreement runs out, there will be negotiating sessions, both unofficial and official, that will go on starting this offseason. The calendar of the offseason is so tight that there are GM meetings happening in a week. Trades, signings. When that happens, positioning of the union and positioning of the commissioner's office become hugely important as you enter the last year. If players and owners were smart, you've got to milk this World Series and this positive momentum. If there were ever a time to not use PR as leverage with the fans, this is the time. Using fans to get PR advantage, to get people on your side, is a trick. It is an action that both sides use in collective bargaining, not just in baseball, but in all sports. It is page 3 of the bargaining playbook. Curry public favor. The first thing I want the union and the owners to agree on, and I don't want them to agree on minimums or caps or anything. The first thing I want them to agree on, and I mean today, is a total PR détente, a total ceasefire in all leaks. It is so important for the two sides to understand that as a public, we're not going to compliment you when we hear something bad about your enemy. We are not going to agree with you because we've been taught something egregious about your enemy. Instead, we're going to punish both of you. We're going to punish the owners. We're going to punish the players, and we're going to punish them with apathy. We're going to punish them by moving on way faster than we normally would or should ever move on after a season like we just witnessed. You want to know the quickest way to kill something? Win a World Series in 2019, shut the game down for COVID, and it's like the Nationals never won. Anyone remember that? The Nationals, who couldn't build on their World Series and have been mired in mediocrity since? Don't do it. Don't do something that causes this excitement to not get to live to its fullest extent. Take advantage of it instead. Find me a positive. Find me something where there is agreement. Sit down with the other side and say, normally when you say yes to something, we say no because we want you to know we're not going to give. We're not going to allow anything to sacrifice our potential labor position. That is bargaining 101. You do not agree when they say the table's round and the sky is blue. That looks a heck of a lot like a hexagon. And you don't see those black clouds? That's a Tuesday in bargaining. What they need right now, and I don't mean for the whole season. I mean for just this off season. For this small period between now, November 3rd, and the start of the World Baseball Classic in March, and through the World Baseball Classic, what we want is the focus to be on the field. There is still plenty of time to do your PR leaking. There's plenty of time to curry the public favor. There's plenty of time to go to battle with the union in order to get that which the owners are demanding. There's plenty of time for you, Tony Clark, to somehow prove your mettle and to prove that you are worthy of leading this union. Plenty of time to prove it through action. The time to prove it now is the inaction of anger, of pettiness. So positive. So if we see coming up anytime soon, anything that shows you or that you hear from me that we have a labor problem, that we've got two sides who are already fighting, they are sacrificing this lead that these players have given them, this level of excitement. This World Series is something that will be talked about around the world, in Japan, in Canada, in the US. Don't waste it. You already have the benefit and the happiness of your biggest broadcast partner, folks. Murdoch of Fox already came out and said, hey, we didn't think it was possible to do better than Dodgers-Yankees last year's World Series, though they would have liked 6 or 7 games, no doubt. But in fact, Murdoch said, hey, this performed well for us. We had a good World Series. Our expectations were met, if not surpassed. Your biggest partners are your TV partners. You are doing something right now that works, Major League Baseball. Yes, it's true. I must admit that Murdoch and Fox were less than happy when the Rangers were playing the Diamondbacks. I get it. Murdoch actually said so. He's like, hey, when they were playing, we'd like to see, a bit more sort of national excitement around these games. I get it. There's no shock to me. You've heard it from Skipper. You've heard it from me. Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, big markets, big teams. Yes, we know it. It doesn't mean there's not room for a small market team, low revenue team to get in there one time and win one, because there is. But when you've got a happy Fox and you've got Netflix and you've got other partners who are ready to do good business with you as you collect your rights and try to have them all available for you to resell in 3 years, you know very well the best deputy out there, the best revenue guy, Noah Garden, Rob Manfred, you all know the truth about what you got to do right now. Subjugate your desire to make the other side look bad, because I know you could do it every day. Subjugate it in order to take advantage of this positivity. We're having a moment, baby. I'm having a moment too. I was right out there. I was right out there telling you that the Dodgers were going to win this in 7 games. That was me. I'm on record. Even Coca knows it. I'm on record that the Dodgers were going to win the World Series in my preseason prediction. Now, it is true I had them beating the Red Sox, but Dodgers, Blue Jays, Dodgers, Red Sox, I got the division right, got the team wrong, but I still was able to choose the World Series winner. And the Dodgers are favored to win the World Series again. Am I prepared to give you a wait to see today? When I gave you a wait to see that the Dodgers, and I did that in March before the season started, the Yankees won 3 in a row, 98, 99, and 2000. The Dodgers have won 2 in a row. Who's going to be gone from that team? Who's signed already? Well, I'm doing it right now on November 3rd, 2025. The Los Angeles Dodgers are going to get the three-peat. Yes, that is very difficult for me to say, given that there's so many other players and other teams I want to get a ring. It is difficult for me to say because the acknowledgement that there is another year where Don Mattingly not going to get a ring. He was so close. Another year where a small revenue team, especially in the bargaining year, is not going to have a chance to get a ring. The problem is the Dodgers are not going anywhere. The systems they use, the things that they use to run their game, it works. Betts was terrible this whole season. Not going to be next year. Freeman is not finished. Yamamoto's just starting. Ohtani still in his prime right now. Will Smith still in his prime. Snell, Glasnow, signed. Wait to see, Coca. The Dodgers are going to three-peat. We come back. We're going to take a short break because we got to talk NFL. We got to go through some baseball and football wait to sees because we do that on this show. And don't forget that a 68-yard field goal was kicked yesterday. Yeah, that's meaningful to me. I'll tell you why after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It is Monday, November 3rd, 2025. Baseball ended Saturday night. Football week 9 was Sunday. Coke, I could do another 50 minutes on that World Series, but I have some football stuff that this is the day when I needed it to be a 3-hour show. Just today. But we'll do more this week. We have shows this week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday is So You Want to Talk to Samson Wednesday. Please look at this graphic and make sure you call the number 631-377-4869. Please leave a message. You may make the show. 631-377-4869 is So You Want to Talk to Samson. And on Wednesday, second hour, we'll answer your questions. Thank you for that. Week 9 had a couple of things of note yesterday. I want to get you going on a Monday morning, just focusing on two of them specifically, one of them that makes me super happy. When you're sitting around thinking about how life has changed, I can only imagine Scott Norwood saying, "Are you kidding me? Wide right on a 47-yard field goal or a 48, 49-yard field goal. Now these guys are kicking from 50, 54, 56 like it's nothing. What are they, training better? Eating less candy? What's happening?" So much so that before the season started, for whatever reason, I told you in a wait to see. This is August 11th. Wait to sees for those of you who are new to the show, and thank you. Even with what's happening with me and the fact that we're only doing 3 days a week right now for a little, I'm not sure for how much longer. You know what's happening. I will have more to say on what's going on with me personally as soon as I can. Believe me, I can't right now. But we have this document. Go to davidsamsonpodcast.com and go look under the dots. You see a tracking document, and you will see everything we do on this show. You'll see all of our picks, all of our words of the day, every movie we've reviewed, every prediction we've done, everything right there in the open. Total accountability. And we always revisit the wait to sees, even ones we get wrong, because we want you to know that we're paying attention. I got a bunch that I got wrong that we're going to revisit now, but a bunch that I got right. The one that I'm really proud of happened on August 11th when I said there's going to be a field goal of over 67 yards this season. You can bet. Wait to see. And that would be unheard of, a 68-yard field goal. Who's going to do that? Well, yesterday, Cam Little of the Jaguars, you are my jam, Cam. He nailed it from 68. Official. That wait to see became a yes. I want to go back and revisit a couple of other things that happened this weekend in football. And I'm going to start with our friends in Miami, because you didn't think that you were going to escape without a Chris Greer conversation, did you? The Dolphins, having lost to the Ravens, which embarrassed me with my pick of the day that we'll review from Thursday, where I had the Dolphins covering versus the Ravens. The Dolphins got smacked, crushed like 28-6. Absolute incompetence. This has to be it, Stephen Ross. You're going to make a move for sure. Wake up Friday feeling good about the possibility of never seeing Mike McDaniel coaching or Chris Greer GMing. That as a Dolphins fan, you'll have a chance for one playoff win before your kid turns 25. Absolute performance by the Dolphins, worse than any other team in football. It's not close. You'll wake up, and there was a decision made for Chris Greer and the Dolphins to part ways. Do you know how many times I've seen a GM walk into a owner's office in the middle of a season and say, "You know what, I'm good. I think we should go a different direction. I think we should mutually part ways." The next time I see it will be the first. You think Chris Greer walked into Stephen Ross's office after that game and said, "I got to tell you, I stink. Forget getting rid of McDaniel. Forget the player personnel issues. I'm telling you, you want to fix this? Boom, you fire me." Boy, that's a level of selfless that just puts a little tear in my eye. A little tear in my eye that's fake. And the Dolphins want us to believe that? No. Stephen Ross had to fire somebody and felt like, oh, I think we better fire only the GM. He's been here longer and we're committed. We don't want to start over with a new coach, new system, new voice. It'll make things worse. Except the team is so bad, Stephen, that what you're doing now is you got to make a bunch of trades. So are you saying that Chris Greer's not the guy to make those trades, which is why you fired him? And then you immediately start making trades? Just this morning, you're trading Jalen Phillips to the Eagles for a third-round pick. Who did it? Champ Kelly, your interim GM? That's the decision you made? Or did Mike McDaniel get himself more involved because he's earned the right to have a dual voice? He's gone full Belichick or Parcells, where he has a say in personnel. You surely can't be serious. So heading into a trade deadline, you decide, here's what we'll do to save our season and to appease the fan base. We're going to fire the GM. I guess I would assume that the GM wasn't making any of the trades and it was always McDaniel, but that can't be. I guess I could assume that the GM wasn't making the trades or the signings, that it was always Stephen Ross and Tom Garfinkel. You want me to assume that? You tell me what it is you want me to think you're doing by trading your GM when the trade deadline is approximately. Now, I don't know what time it is where you are. I only know what time it is where I am. And in about 32 hours, there's a trade deadline. Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's a dead giveaway what time it is where I am, but you can do the math and figure it out. But you do it. You do you. If you're on DraftKings Network, the math's different. If you're listening to this later in the day, the math is different. But if by chance you're live on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel, in addition to hitting subscribe, even if you're not live, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe. Thank you. Seriously, thank you. Stephen Ross came up with a quote that just, chef's kiss to the PR people in Miami. I have always been and remain committed to building a winning team that consistently competes for championships. That was Steve Ross's statement on Friday. Hold on. Let me go back to Steve Ross. This is when, if we had John Oliver, hey, Dan, if we had like Pablo's group or if we had John Oliver's group, anything, do you know what we would show right now? There'd be a little square right above my left shoulder or right shoulder, doesn't matter which. And that would go through all the statements Steve Ross has made, as he has made coaching changes, GM changes, player changes. You can't say you've always been and remain committed to building a winning team that consistently competes for championships without saying that you haven't done that at all, period, in a quarter of a century of ownership. But no, the statement continues. I'm incredibly proud of our leadership as an NFL organization and our continued commitment to the community. Hey, folks. Just between us, when we're touting how good we are in the community, we're trying to cover up the fact that we suck. Because when we're good, we talk about how good we are and then throw in, and by the way, what a great bonus that we do stuff in the community. But when you're leading with it, you can't possibly lead with it. Unless you've had 5 playoff appearances since 2001, unless you haven't won a playoff game at all in your ownership, never made it even past the wild card round, obviously, because they haven't won a playoff game. Then I guess you talk about the commitment to the community. As long as the Miami-Dade community keeps giving money to Stephen Ross to do these events around Landshark Stadium, then boom, we are committed. We'll keep giving out those turkeys like it's nobody's business. We'll go through Christmas, wrap some stuff, give it out. Hi, I'm David Samson. I've done it. I've done the turkey drives, the Christmas gift toy drives. I've done the clinics, built the fields, done it all. Does it change one thing about the way you view my tenure in Miami as having won only 1 ring instead of 2 or 10 or 12? But man, Steve Ross just couldn't stop. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He wrote, "There are no excuses. I want to thank the fans for their continued support and passion for this team." Not in the statement. You don't put that passion is now manifested through booze. That passion is manifested through airplanes, flying banners saying fire, sell. Fire, sell. But we want to thank you for your passion. Now comes page 1A of the statement playbook. You, talking about the fans, you deserve a championship caliber team you can be proud of. There's got to be music we can play in the background for this, Coca. This is the biggest crock of crap statement ever, and he didn't stop. There's much work ahead to return the Dolphins to sustained success, and that work begins now. Phew! Thank God. Now, it didn't begin last offseason. It didn't begin in week 1 heading into the season. It didn't begin 2 years ago. We're going to start it now. Why would we choose week 9 as the time to start it? I can't quite answer that. But now's when we're starting. Do people not read the statements they release? Much work ahead, and the work begins now. I'm only I don't mean, I'm not totally going just after the Dolphins and Steve Ross, but my God, do you make it easy? The Bengals losing that game to the Bears, that wasn't easy. That's not easy at all. That's a game you might not have watched. It's the can we move to Arlington faster than Joe Flacco can win a game while performing bowl. Two things interested me, and I know I've got so many people in Chicago. We got the latest October report. I don't know, Greg, if you're having your friends listen or how you're doing it, but let me tell you, Chicago, we love you, Chicago. Now, are you super happy, I assume, with that game? You're thinking your offense is just off the charts? You're aware, right, that the Bengals scored 38 plus points against you. They scored 42 points against you. I think you know that. You know that the Bengals were down 41-27 with 2 minutes left. The Bears were winning this game by 2 touchdowns and then gave up 2 touchdowns to the Bengals. You do know that, right? You know that the Bengals are now the first team to score 38 or more points in back-to-back games and lose both since the Giants before I was born. You know that, right? I just keep wondering about the Bengals. I don't wonder about Al Golden, their defensive coordinator, is going to get fired. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about the fact that Joe Burrow's hurt and not playing and that it shouldn't even evaluate anything with Joe Flacco because he's barely younger than I am. I'm not worried about that. I'm a little worried about the Bears because I don't believe the Bears and the Bengals think they're in the same position because the Bengals get to rely and rest on the fact that they've got a significant injury that crushed their season. I think the Bears somehow have this belief that their victory, their 47-42 win, was enough to show that they are actually positioned for a good season. Just a quick word of advice to the Bears fans out there. You're going to need defense. That is what is going to help you win a Super Bowl. You are not going to have the Bengals every week, ever. I had a pick of the day of the Bills beating the Chiefs, Coca. I know you saw it. I know you did. I know you were happy about it. Bills fans, Chiefs giving points in Buffalo. What am I missing? Obviously, I wasn't missing anything because we had the Bills beat the Chiefs. I liked watching that. I just want to mention one thing more about Jayden Daniels and the Commanders, if you don't mind. Have you guys heard of the sophomore slump? I wasn't quite sure it was going to happen with Jayden Daniels. He had his team in the championship, in the NFC championship. They had everything going right under Josh Harris. The new owner had taken over for Dan Snyder. New ballpark, new stadium. They had changed the amenities for the players, for the fans. They were winning games. There was calmness. There was professionalism. Everything was going great. And then it wasn't. It is so hard to win in a league Do not take it for granted when your team wins more than it loses. Don't take it for granted if you were a New England fan during the Brady days or if you were a Cowboys fan during the Aikman days. Just don't take it for granted, because if you're a Cowboy fan, you know it may never come back. If you are a New England fan, hey, it's back now, you think? No, just looks like it is. When you are building towards something and you've got a franchise quarterback in Jayden Daniels that you are expecting to win before having to pay, you can't afford a season like this where the performance is down, not up, and then the injury comes. Jayden Daniels dislocated his left elbow. It's his non-throwing, but he dislocated his left elbow being in the game when the Commanders were down 31 points to the Seahawks in the fourth quarter. A quick reminder to those head coaches and GMs in football and in baseball. When you've got your star rookie pitcher who's starting, and that rookie pitcher is winning 15-1, you're going to pull that rookie pitcher, and you're not going to have him extend himself during that outing. If a rookie pitcher gives up a bunch of runs, you're going to pull that rookie pitcher, and you're going to let that rookie pitcher live to see another day. We know that football is the most dangerous sport in the world. We know that players are getting hurt. They're getting concussed. It's getting absolutely discussed in closed-door meetings where people are not acknowledging the truth of the violence of the sport that we won't stop watching. We know very well how tenuous it is to have an overperforming, underpaid quarterback. Explain to me, please, Josh Harris, why Jayden Daniels was in the game in the fourth quarter when the game was over. Were you thinking, hey, 7 minutes left, we can score 31 points? Was that what you were thinking? Was anything Jayden Daniels was doing this season indicate to you that you had a 31 spot in the last 7 minutes? I'm just asking. Was something about yesterday, did you look at that game and say, this is the moment to not take out our franchise quarterback? When you know what a game is, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, I don't care the sport. We've talked about the concept of delusion. There is no delusion in a game 7. I don't care if you're down 10 runs after one inning. You play game 7 as though you are going to win the game, and you stick to your pitching strategy, etc. Game 112 on a Tuesday, you're not doing that. This was not a playoff game. This was not a Super Bowl. This was a Week 9 game against the Seahawks, against a better team in a season that is likely a lost season. We're not early in the season anymore. And what the Commanders did by risking injury, all of a sudden, he's now got that injury. Why? What is the reason? Am I more angry than Commanders fans are? It can't be. I'm not a Commanders fan. I want to do a review, Coca, if that's okay. We didn't get to the review last hour. This is one I need to talk about. Let's do a review. Every day I used to watch a movie until September 12th. That was the day that I stopped watching movies every day. I'm trying to start watching again. Here we are almost 7 weeks and 2 days later. Now it's 7 weeks and 3 days later. And no, I don't have a countdown clock. I have it in my head, burned into my head, seared into my life for the rest of time. I still, Coca, have not been able to watch a movie straight through. I ended up watching a movie that I told you I'd watch, The Roses, and I watched it in counterparts. I'm either distracted or I get a call that enables me to do some research, or I'm on the phone with some doctor somewhere talking about what I can do to fix my situation that I find my daughter in. The Roses was a movie I knew I had to watch with Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch because War of the Roses is one of my all-timers. War of the Roses is the movie that you go see with the woman who you want to marry to let them know how it's likely going to end. The Roses is not a remake of War of the Roses, but it's the same concept. It comes from the same underlying piece of literature. If you're looking for a Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito, and Michael Douglas, you're not going to find them. If you're looking for an unlikely match of Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman, and you're never quite bought into the love, the tension, the romance, the sex, you just don't quite believe it. The whole purpose of the movie is you got to show how good it was at the start, and then how it disintegrates into absolute insanity, where it's not winning, it's degrees of losing. In a divorce, there is no winning. It is only degrees of losing. Danny DeVito had it right from the start. When you're urged to be generous, and you're urged to be generous to the point of night sweats, when you want a house, but the other side wants the house, and somehow you believe, here's an idea, how about nobody gets the house? That type of behavior is what I wanted to talk about, because it happens in sports. It happens in business. And I don't understand the mentality of it. Kids do this when they're playing. If I can't have ice cream, then neither can you. I'm going to knock your ice cream to the ground. If I can't have this, you can't have that. When did that sentence become a real sentence that people use in real life? What about the reason you can't have peace, or the reason you can't have ice cream, or the reason you can't have a house? What about evaluating the reasons before deciding that not only do the reasons not matter, but also even if they do, you're going to ignore them in order to embrace misery-loving company? I'm not sure what type of God, what type of religion, what type of person put into our heads, to the extent that you believe it or that happened, the concept. Schadenfreude, I get. Happiness at the misfortune of others, I'm in. People, oh God, you're caveman, your buffalo is bigger than my buffalo. Holy cow, your sack's bigger than my sack. I get all that. That's good competition. Locker room competition. Shower competition, numbers competition, ways to measure. I get it. It is the only way to know if you're good at something, whether or not you have a frame of reference of someone who's bad at something. I love being competitive. I love winning and losing. What I don't understand is when you do something that guarantees that everybody loses. Why would you enter into that activity? That's not a competition. It's actually idiocy. The movie The Roses is about two people who don't care about winning. They only care about the other side losing. Don't be that way. Care about winning. Do everything you can to win. Except lose. Josh Gad, if you're out there, I'm going to watch Adulthood. It's your new movie. And I think you're filming a movie elsewhere right now. But you do have a new movie out called Adulthood. I am going to watch it because you're on the list, Josh. You will always be on the list because of how good you are to my family and to me. But you're also on the list because I love all your movies. He's in a movie called Adulthood. I will watch it and review it on Wednesday's show. Yesterday was a day in New York. If you live in New York City, you know about Marathon Sunday. I don't like the excuse of people saying they don't know when the marathon is. It's always the same day. It is the first Sunday in November. It can't be that hard to remember. The first Sunday in November happened to be November 2nd. Would you agree the earliest the marathon can be is November 1st? Can we all agree on that when Halloween falls on a Saturday night or Coca's birthday? Side note, Coca, how was your birthday? Can you come on? Do you want to come on and talk to us about your birthday? Do you have any interest in taking, did you shower this morning? Did you comb your locks? Do you want to tell people what you did for your birthday? Your special Halloween big birthday? Almost 2 score? Nope, he doesn't. I guess that means he didn't have a good birthday, but I think he did. I hope you all wish him a happy birthday online. Why was I talking about Coca's birthday? Oh, the earliest the marathon can be is November 1st. The latest it can be, figure this out. When do you think? Can it be November 8th? Can it ever be November 8th? Has there ever been a marathon on November 8th? Can the first Sunday of November be November 8th? No. I love Marathon Sunday because I get to go out and run it. I didn't yesterday, though. I was going to, Coca. You have no idea. I don't like watching the marathon because I have such FOMO because I want to run in the marathon. Next year is the 30th anniversary of my first ever marathon in 1996. If you think you can't do a marathon because you're too fat, you're too slow, you're too old, you're too out of shape, go watch the New York Marathon. People of all shapes and sizes who have the discipline to take step after step for 56,000 steps, 26.2 miles, and cross the finish line and feel a feeling that is hard to replicate no matter how often you are successful at the bars on the Upper East Side. Crossing the finish line in Central Park of the marathon will give you a sense of accomplishment, a sense of purpose, and will enable you to raise money for charity. There are so many ways to get a bib. Don't give me your, hey, I can't get a bib. They're impossible to get. You've got to be part of the 1%ers to get a bib. All the people would complain. And I've heard it on Dan's show from people, whatever. People, oh, I'm sure that, no. How about raising some money for charity? You'll get a bib. I'll get anyone a bib who raises some money for charity. And believe me, you need it. They need to find a cure for Parkinson's. They need to find a cure for cancer. They need to find a cure for so many of the things that ail so many people. And there are people out there running on behalf of those charities who don't look like Adonises. They look like we do. I love watching those people. I am those people. And I will be again next year, Coca. I will be again next year. You can bet it. As a matter of fact, Coca, if you don't mind putting a wait to see in so you can hold me to account. Wait to see. I will run the New York Marathon in 2026 to honor 30 years since my first marathon and to raise money to try to make people's lives better. You can book that, Coca. The Grizzlies have to be done with John Morant, don't they? Don't they just have to be? How many times, is there a way to catalog our shows where you could do a search of John Morant and then see how many episodes we've done segments about John Morant's behavior and how despondent the Memphis Grizzlies are? Is there any way that we can show that? I assume there has to be. Well, it happened again, folks. Sorry, but true. John Morant was suspended by the Memphis Grizzlies. He was suspended on Saturday for one game. Why would you suspend John Morant? What would be the cause of action? You'd think a gun, some sort of gun-related crime. Nah, just the usual. Conduct detrimental to the team. You see, the Grizzlies in Memphis are trying to figure out whether or not they're going to live the rest of their careers realizing that John Morant is no better than Zion Williamson, realizing that first two picks of that draft, where it was supposed to be heaven and heaven and heaven for the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, has turned into hell and losing and hell for those two franchises. There's going to be a moment of an epiphany in the great city of Memphis where they will realize the juice is no longer worth the squeeze that is to have John Morant. There will be a moment when you look back on his 5-year, $197.2 million contract and say to yourself, my God, that is the worst contract I ever did in my career. There'll be a moment as your payroll department is paying John Morant his $39.4 million this season that you're looking out on the court and saying, where's Ja? And it won't be because you're singing Crazy Game of Poker with your favorite band, OAR. It'll be because he's suspended. It'll be because he's not performing. It'll be because your team stinks. Remember, the Grizzlies went through an entire coaching change at the end of last year. Do you remember that? And they hired their interim full time. Do you remember that? Do you remember the fact that John Morant, when asked about the coach, really had nothing to say that was good? He was like, hey, you better go talk to my coaches. Why? Because he wasn't playing the minutes he thought he should play. He was being benched at certain times. You want to know why? Because he's not even one of the top 5 players on that team anymore, and the team is not all that good. The thing that we talk to players about so often is if you want to be a problem off the field, you sure as hell better be a superstar on it. And even then, there may come a point. But if you're going to be mediocre with occasional doses of greatness and mostly an entire season of mediocrity with results for our team that don't add up to deep playoff runs and more revenue, then what? Just not worth it. John Morant as a player, 4869, Coca. 4869. I want to start that differently for John Morant. Here I go. Okay, 4869. Having John Morant as your leader is something the Memphis Grizzlies now have to understand is a mistake that there is no coming back from. This is not a matter of maturity any longer. John Morant is no longer a kid playing in the NBA. John Morant is old enough and has been in the league long enough to know what it is to lead a clubhouse, to lead a locker room, to lead a team, to perform for a team. John Morant, with his injuries, with his off-court problems, is now someone who you have to understand is not even a complimentary piece because he doesn't have the mentality to do it. There are some superstars who are no longer able to, who then end up becoming secondary pieces, but most of them simply can't. John Morant was asked by the media after the game, hey, what's going on? Are you good? And his response was, go ask the coaching staff. Why aren't you playing? Go ask the coaching staff. When your player's doing that, that player gets released or gets traded. When that player is your best player, who is an absolute pain in the neck, you talk to him, you try to help him not do it again, but you go to sleep at night saying, every morning when I wake up, my PR guy may be calling me with the next thing that player has done. The Memphis Grizzlies go to bed every night saying, what now for John Morant? When John Morant is dialed in, not injured, not suspended, leading them to victories, I'll put my head on the pillow and wait for the call. But when he's not even playing, when he's hurt, when he's not performing, I don't want that call anymore. If you think that there will not be a move made with John Morant by the Memphis Grizzlies, you're just wrong. I promise you, something's got to give. We told you that when we do these wait to sees, that we are accountable for them. We told you the Dodgers would win in 7. We were right. We told you the Dodgers would beat the Red Sox in the preseason. Close enough. I'm taking that as a win for that prediction. I want you to go back to that calendar and review some stuff and realize this is where the accountability is. January 7th, 2025, we did a show where I said Brian Daboll would be fired by week 7 by the New York Giants. Man, was I close. I was so close. They haven't fired him yet. We're already past week 7, so I got to take a no, but I believe the concept was right. On January 15th of 2025, the beginning of this year, there was a problem with A.J. Brown and the Eagles that you may not recall. And I said A.J. Brown will not be with the Eagles next season. I came so close. You think all of a sudden Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley are going to Popeyes together? Going to Four Seasons together? A little Chipotle on the side? No, but A.J. Brown is still with the Eagles. So I got to take a no on that wait to see. On February 6th, I told Coca, spring training hadn't even started, Coca. And I said, Coca, the Mets will not be in the NLCS. There is something wrong with this team. And every Mets fan and every Coca fan and everybody else said, are you crazy? The Mets with their payroll, they're going to do better than the NLCS, which they had done last season. We got that one right. On March 18th of 25, do you know what we did? We talked about Max Scherzer. Before the Blue Jays season had ever started, before the Blue Jays season ended as pennant winners, ended in a Game 7 heartbreak loss to the Dodgers in the World Series, with Max Scherzer starting. Max Scherzer, who's got the Boris situation going on, he had the thumb situation going on. I said, I don't think he's going to be able to pitch. I don't think he's going to be able to start. I think that he will be out of the bullpen before this is all said and done. Max Scherzer, total bullpen appearances in 2025. Book it. 0. I was wrong. Max Scherzer will not pitch out of the bullpen. I also told you on March 25th that the Minnesota Twins would definitely sell by the end of the season. Can you believe, Coca, that the Twins owners stood up and said they did it like an Artie Moreno? This team's been for sale, but now we've changed our minds. We believe we're the right people to run this team. Now we're going to take in some limited partners. We'll take in some cash because we have no access to any more debt, so we need equity. We've got new important partners who are going to help us run this team. Horse hockey. Limited partners do not help run a team. I said that the Minnesota Twins would be sold by the Pohlad family by the end of the year. Nope, didn't happen. Remember when Alex Ovechkin broke the... I'm catching up on a lot. Don't be upset. May 30th, I said Alex Ovechkin, who broke the record, as you may recall, for goals scored, broke Gretzky's record. Everyone's saying, oh, that city's going to retire. Go back to Ruski. No, I told you that he is going to be back. Well, he's back. That's a yes for May 30th. All right, Miami fans. Remember when you were all worried on July 14th about Lionel Messi and whether or not he's going to re-sign with Inter Miami? And Mike Ryan Ruiz of the Le Batard Show said, don't you worry. Don't worry. And I then came out and said on July 14th, I know something you don't know because I have found out. Messi will re-sign with Inter Miami. Boom. He just re-signed in the last couple days. Did any of you think he wasn't going to re-sign? I'm just curious. Was anyone fading that wait to see? Because you thought he'd go home or he'd go to Saudi Arabia or he'd go back to Barcelona or they'd want to go to LA. No, he's got roots in Miami. Now he's got business interests in Miami, including part of the team. They're opening a new stadium by the airport. He's got to be on the pitch when the stadium opens in order to extract the maximum value for Inter Miami. Do I think there's a world where he sells his shares at some point or where his family wants to get back to Europe because they're sick of Florida? It happens to everybody, but not now. Do you remember on August 7th when Carlos Mendoza was talking about the Mets and they were having one of their slumps, I think, and Carlos Mendoza did what he does. It's Coca's least favorite thing in the world. I take responsibility. The buck stops and starts with me. Remember that? And I said, well, if they don't fire Carlos Mendoza, you can sure as heck know that they're going to fire some coaches. Somebody's getting fired. On August 7th, I said the Mets will make a coaching change at the end of the season. That was back in early August. Well, the season ended and they made some coaching changes. That is a YES. I told you about my August 11th 67-plus yard field goal. Boom. Thank you, Cam Little. I may re-up that way to see that his record's going to be broken, but not yet. Let me revel in the moment of victory. How about August 27th when the Dodgers traded for Andrew Heaney? And he was let go. Remember the whole thing? Andrew Heaney traded for, let go, re-signed. Andrew Heaney, the guy I drafted. Andrew Heaney, the guy who actually has had a great career. But I told you he will not be on any postseason roster. And you were like, how can that be? Postseason rosters don't come out for a while. Well, it's true. Andrew Heaney was not on a postseason roster. And now our final wait to see. which just came from the day before the World Series started, when I told you, don't worry, the Blue Jays have a shot because the Dodgers starting pitching ERA will be way higher in the World Series than it was in the LCS. In the LCS, the Dodgers starting pitching was .63. And if it's true they had a .63 in the World Series, they would sweep the Blue Jays the way they swept the Brewers, period. Well, the Dodgers starting pitching ERA was higher. It was 3.95 in the World Series. 3.95. Their bullpen was lights out in that 18-inning game, by the way. Their bullpen in Game 7, they just found a way. The Dodgers found a way. That's a yes on the wait to see. What was my wait to see on the number of people who would engage in this World Series? Because the ratings are out. Remember, we talked to you about how it would be announced that they would add up Japan, Canada, US, add up streaming. Well, I got one for you. Game 7, between anyone and anyone, it's going to be a winner. It was just announced that Game 7 from Saturday night had an audience of nearly 26 million people, according to Nielsen, and that's not including Canada and Japan. That is only the U.S., and this is with one U.S. market in the World Series. In 2017, the Dodgers and Astros had a Game 7, and that drew 28 million. Every series since then has not had a game with 26 million until Saturday. Dodgers, Yankees, that should be enough. It turns out the way you get numbers, fantasy, gambling, stakes. And I don't mean the type with A1 sauce. I mean the one without the E, except there is an E just at the end, not in the beginning. STAKES. You need a game with stakes. Casual people will watch a Game 7 because it's a Game 7, because they know that there's not a Game 8. They know that they can invest in this game. They may not know the storylines. They may not know the players. They may not care who wins, but they are invested enough that they're going to watch it. How many times we keep talking about the importance of a Game 7 and what it can mean, why the broadcasters want it, why the leagues want it, why the players want it, why the umps want it, why everybody wants it. Because the money to be made in a Game 7 is spectacular, because when you charge for the World Series, when you charge your rates next year, when you are doing a new media deal, when the networks who have the rights are charging their spot fees, when you've got the ability to sell off a high, you get a chance to sell even higher. Now, it all goes to crap if next year there's a sweep in the World Series between two small teams like Texas and Arizona where nobody watches. I grant you. But now, that's not where we are. Now we are coming off a memorable World Series that went the distance. It had a little bit of everything that attracts sponsors. It attracts interest from those who otherwise wouldn't be. It doesn't take a genius to have told you where these numbers would be for this World Series. How do you replicate it? As Major League Baseball sits down and comes up with its labor strategy, as the players sit down and come up with their labor strategy, they actually are aligned in one major way. And that should be good news for a negotiation. They are aligned because they both want to replicate what they just saw in the World Series. What is the best way to do it? And there's the rub, me friend. I'm not very good when I go to accents, but I try. Stay with me 4 more minutes. Why? Why does it matter when two sides actually have the same goal? Because that means negotiators could actually, if they're good, negotiators could take that commonality of goal and they could find a way to get both sides to that goal in ways that they are willing and able to make concessions to the other side. A World Series like this should give us all hope for labor peace. It should give us all hope that there's a deal to be made because everybody is benefiting from what happened this season. No matter how much you hear the union wanted the Brewers to lose quickly, the owners wanted the Dodgers to lose quickly, and the Brewers to win quickly. Whatever it is that you think you know about what the union wants and what the league wants, small payroll versus large payroll, what they all want unanimously is revenue increase, profitability increase, salary increase. They all want that. How? What's the first thing? You remember from the first hour what I told you? The first step is going to be so important as we watch what the commissioner's office and what the players union does right now. As this offseason begins, can they keep some sort of order, some sort of meaning of purpose, and some sort of cohesion toward the goal of continuing this momentum? See, momentum is something that owners, we don't often think about. When we're in owners' meetings, we don't think about the last World Series. We don't think about industry momentum. We're thinking about our own team. We're thinking about, did our team do well? Did our team not do well? What's our team payroll going to be? What's the distribution going to be from the central fund? We're all thinking like individual franchises. What the commissioner's office is supposed to do is get these franchises together and get them thinking like a unit, to get them thinking like a sport, like a one business concern. It's super hard to do. But there isn't an owner who woke up after that Game 7 World Series who can decline and be so delusional that they don't realize that what we just saw, that's it. That's what we're trying to get to. I'm excited, Coca. I'm excited that there's a chance that I've been wrong this whole time when I told you that there's going to be a guaranteed work stoppage, that it's going to be long. I'm excited because the postseason was such a different thing. It was so good. Nothing personal pick of the day. We haven't had a show since Thursday. I told you the Dolphins would cover versus the Ravens. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I did tell you Friday the Dodgers would beat the Blue Jays and we'd have a Game 7. Because I picked the Dodgers to win in 7, you knew I was going to pick the Dodgers to win Game 6, and they did. I told you early in the show, who didn't take the Bills plus 1.5? What was all that money on the Chiefs? Was that like a Taylor thing? Are you not realizing that the Bills are better than the Chiefs? Like hard stop? So that's a win. We are 136 and 140. We got 2 games right now, Coca. Let's start with basketball. The Heat and the Clippers. Interesting season. The Heat, they score a lot. The Clippers, they score a lot. The Clippers being investigated a lot. The Heat trying to figure out whether or not they are middling or not. Instead of taking the game, I'm taking the over. While they are playing back-to-back and they lost to the Lakers yesterday, I believe in the offense. I believe in the rule changes. I'm taking the Heat Clippers over 228.5. Book it. There is a game tonight. The Cowboys are only giving 3.5 points to the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not sure why, given that Kyler Murray's not playing. There must be something else that I'm missing. Is Dak Prescott not playing, Coca? Cowboys minus 3.5 over Cards. When something is too good to be true, it normally is. But Dodgers only given 151 in Game 6. That was too good to be true. So our nothing personal pick of the day is we're taking the Cowboys over the Cardinals, and we're taking the Heat Clippers over. We are 4 games under. Check DavidSampsonPodcast.com to see every nothing personal pick of the day and every result we've ever had. Thank you for paying attention, for being with us. Again, the schedule will be back Wednesday for So You Want to Talk to Samson. Make sure you call the number that's on your screen, 631-377-4869. Until then, it's just business. Congratulations to all the marathon finishers and the Dodgers. This is nothing personal.